Hi everyone, this is Tom, and after my video yesterday about teaching first and second grades, parents have contacted me and asked me to tell you about my classroom and how unique it was. And after a few emails, I think they have a point. So first thing, I'm going to go through 5 of them, but the first one I want to talk about is kind of all primary grade classrooms, which is K1 and 2. Indoor recess. You had boys would always go to the carpet and build with blocks, magnets, paper airplanes, all building and creating on the carpet. Girls always went to the reading table and would draw, color, and socialize. And they were both completely divided, and there was no exceptions except for one. There was always one boy or one girl in every class that would go back and forth and be comfortable with both groups. It was so weird. And that parent of that child was always the coolest parent in the class, nicest parent. And that kid was so well developed socially that he or she could go back and forth comfortably between the boy group and the girl group. So that was always really funny to see when I subbed or after teaching 27 years. Okay, so differences between my room and other classrooms. Number 4 is after the class lessons, the kids had to mingle. We always had like 3, 4, 5 minutes between math and social studies or whatever. No going and reading by yourselves. I would not allow it. They could read with a friend if they were socializing over a book. That's fine. But I wanted to see that they had the ability to go to another desk, hang with a friend for a minute, chat about soccer or whatever. The boys would always go to one cool guy's desk, chat about soccer often, like what they were going to do at recess. And the girls always came to my desk. Just all of them would come and hang out at my desk, but they knew that helping me was a big part of my classroom. So they would want to organize my desk. They would want to organize the drawers of my desk, the reading table, my closet, cupboards, anything. And they wanted to hang out at my desk. And it was so cute to see these girls come up. And they would inevitably ask about why I don't have children and why I'm not married. And that was also very cute. But I would often just walk away because I had things I had to do. I had a grade book I had to update or something like a contract with a kid that I had to jot down some information. But the girls would take over my desk area. And anyway, that was one part while everybody else was mingling. Number 3, throwing. I threw everything. I threw markers, crayons. I put a list here. Dry erase board, erasers. I threw timers, everything. Kids at the beginning of the year would catch like this and not be able to get it. By the end of the year, every kid was catching, like even bad throws. They would catch them over their shoulder. A marker. Kids would have to color something on a sheet, like red for the number 24, blue for the number 26. And they would say, I don't have a blue crayon. And I would just reach over, grab a blue crayon from a friend and toss it to them. And they knew if you asked for a crayon, face up to me because it was going to come flying pretty soon. And they, at first, kids misbehaved about it a little bit. And I would tell them, no, we're going to be throwing the whole year. So don't start misbehaving or I'll take it away from you. And so they learned to behave and to toss properly, underhand, not overhand. So anyway, we threw everything. And I had a bin next to my desk with all of my markers and crayons and things. And I did not put them into little cups or whatever. Everything I had that was mine, I threw into my bin and they threw it in there too. And so throwing was a part of my classroom and it was not a big deal. Number two, after school. In my classroom, after school, once you got your backpacks on, you hustled to the carpet and we would meet and we would decide what we're going to do. Often we threw Nerf balls. So the girls would go to one side of the room, boys to the other. And I would stand in the middle and I would throw a Nerf football or a Nerf ball or a Nerf something. And they would catch it and I'd say, oh, that was a 100-pointer or that was a 50-pointer. You were right in front of me or whatever. And they would add up their points and tell me, Mr. Gray, I got 350 points in, after school today. And I'd be like, yeah, you are the man or you are the girl. So anyway, throwing was a big thing. Now, wrestling, early in my career, for my first 10 years, I got out of the habit of it, but wrestling was a big deal. You came to the carpet, you brought your backpack, and you were sitting down. If everyone was sitting nice and quiet, you would raise your hand, and I'd say, you, wrestle. And they would go out, they would be on their knees in first grade, and they would just go up to each other and grapple and then tip over. And I'd say, all right, here's the world champion. And I would hold up one of their hands and they learned to handle it. It wasn't a sad situation to not be the world champion. They all wanted a chance to be the world champion. And so they would wrestle. Boys wrestled girls and lost to girls, and it went on. It was done so many times that there was no consistent thing that I could say about any of the wrestling. They did it comfortably. They didn't cry about it. They loved it. And parents that were picking up their kids would say, what are they doing? And I'd say, we wrestle at the end of the day. And, in first and second grade, they're comfortable doing it. So, but the number one thing, and that parents pointed out in the email I got yesterday, was performing. We performed everything. Like we performed math. Kids would perform fractions in the front of the room, like what fraction of this group is girls. Or we would add, like there's 3 girls and there's 4 boys. How many are there altogether? So we would perform it. And then we would hold hands and we would bow in front of the class and the kids would clap. And as long as they clapped and they participated, they would get called up. But if they wanted to sit at their desk and not clap and not participate, then I wouldn't call them. So that wasn't going to happen. So performing, but the big performances were from 9 a.m. to 9:30. We would perform rock and roll songs. And all the classes were supposed to meet and sit in a circle and talk about what they did the day before. And I thought, no way, that's a total waste of time. My kids are going to perform. They grabbed a marker, which was their microphone, and I turned on locomotion, and they knew their parts. After 2 or 3 practices, I would just turn the music on. They would go through, they would sing their parts. We had confetti we would throw during certain songs. We did I Can See Clearly Now, Sound of Silence, Raindrops Are Falling on My Head. We did so many different songs over the years, and this was between 9 and 9:30. Then at Halloween, we would perform our 2 or 3 songs we had learned during the fall, and then at Valentine's party, we would perform our 2 or 3 songs we learned during the winter. And then we would have an end of the year performance where we performed our 2 or 3 songs. Parents came in from my classroom, from other classrooms, and they would pack in my room and watch these kids sing these songs. And they were like, when did they learn these songs? And I'm like, 9 to 9:30, when we were supposed to be doing something else. Or, frankly, we did it during science or social studies. We would zip through those things. I wasn't particularly fond of the curriculum. So we would zip through it and they would perform their songs, and they would do really well in science or social studies because they wanted to perform. So anyway, those are differences between my room and some other classrooms when I taught first and second grade in Montgomery County, Maryland.